500-plus page report provides a thorough, comprehensive, and objective recitation of the facts related to the department's and the FBI's handling of the Clinton email investigation. It was the product of 17 months of investigative work by a dedicated OIG team that reviewed well over 1.2 million documents and interviewed more than 100 witnesses, many on multiple occasions. The review team followed the evidence wherever it led, and through their efforts, we identified the inappropriate text and instant messages discussed in the report. Additionally, the OIG's painstaking forensic examinations recovered thousands of text messages that otherwise would have been lost or undisclosed. As detailed in our report, we found that the inappropriate political messages we uncovered cast a cloud over the mid-year investigation, sowed doubt about the credibility of the FBI's handling of it, and impacted the reputation of the FBI. We found the implication that senior FBI employees would be willing to take official action to impact a presidential candidate's electoral prospects to be deeply troubling and antithetical to the core values of the FBI and the Justice Department. With regard to the decision to close the investigation without prosecution, we found no evidence that the conclusions by the prosecutors were the result of improper considerations, including political bias, but rather were exercises of prosecutorial discretion by the prosecutors based on their assessment of the facts, the law, and past department practice. Our review also included a fact-based, detailed assessment of certain specific investigative and prosecutorial decisions that were the subject of controversy. It was necessary to select particular investigative decisions because it would not have been possible to recreate and analyze every decision made in a year-long investigation. In examining these decisions, the question we considered was not whether a particular decision was the most effective choice, but rather whether the documentary and testimonial evidence indicated the decision was based on improper considerations, including political bias. This approach is consistent with the OIG's handling of such questions in past reviews when assessing discretionary judgment calls and recognizes and respects the institutional oversight role of the OIG. Our report provides a comprehensive assessment of these decisions and of the mid-year investigation and details the factual evidence so that the public, Congress, and other stakeholders can conduct their own assessment of them. Within this framework, as to the specific investigative and prosecutive decisions we reviewed, we did not find documentary or testimonial evidence that improper considerations, including political bias, directly affected those specific decisions, in part because the decisions were made by the larger mid-year team or the prosecutors. This determination by the OIG, as I noted, does not mean that we necessarily endorse the decisions or conclude they were the most effective options among those considered, or that our finding should or can be extrapolated to cover other decisions made during the course of the investigation by the FBI employees who sent these inappropriate text messages. Conversely, we found the FBI's explanations for its failures to take immediate action after discovering the Wiener laptop in October 2016 to be unpersuasive, and we did not have confidence that the decision of Deputy Assistant Director Strzok to prioritize the Russia investigation over following up on the Wiener laptop was free from bias in light of his text messages. We also found that in key moments, then FBI Director COMEY clearly departed from FBI and department norms, and his decisions negatively impacted the perception of the FBI and the Justice Department as fair administrators of justice. Director COMEY concealed from the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General his intention to make a unilateral announcement in July 2016 about the reasons for his recommendation not to prosecute former Secretary Clinton. His July 5th statement included inappropriate commentary about uncharged conduct, announced his views on what a quote-unquote reasonable prosecutor would do, and served to confuse rather than clarify public understanding of his recommendation. In late October, he again acted without adequately consulting department leadership and contrary to important department norms when he sent a letter to Congress announcing renewed investigative activity days before the election. There are many lessons to be learned from the department's and the FBI's handling of the mid-year investigation. But among the most important is the need to respect the institution's hierarchies and structures and to follow established policies, procedures, and norms, even in the highest profile and most challenging investigations. No rule, policy, or practice is perfect, of course, but at the same time, neither is any individual's ability to make judgments under pressure or in what may seem like unique circumstances. When leaders and officials adhere to bedrock principles and values, the public has greater confidence in the fairness and rightness of their decisions, and those institutions' leaders better protect the interests of federal law enforcement and the dedicated professionals who serve us all. By contrast, the public's trust is negatively impacted when law enforcement officials make statements reflecting bias, when leaders abandon institutional norms and the organizational hierarchy in favor of their own ad hoc judgments, and when the leadership of the department and the FBI are unable to speak directly with one another for the good of the institutions. Our report makes 9 recommendations, most of which can be tied together through a common theme, that the FBI and the Justice Department remain true to their foundational principles and values in all their work.